Hello guys, welcome to a special one-off video on this farmhouse build for PugGaming's Isle of Wight series. So anybody that doesn't know about this, you will probably know about Pug's Isle of Wight series because it's a bit of a epic series where he's building basically the Isle of Wight in the UK, and it's a really cool, predominantly rural build, which explains why Pug has thrown out to the community the opportunity to build a little farm, and that in effect usually entails a farmhouse and some outbuildings and tractors and stuff like that. It's entirely up to the whoever wants to make the farm. It's entirely up to them what they do with that brief, and therefore I've just decided to have a go and throw out my own idea. Basically this is a very simple little build, to be honest. I didn't want to go too sort of over the top in terms of what I was doing here. I wanted to keep it fairly kind of straightforward and typically English, I think, or hopefully typically English in terms of the general style and the kind of layout and so forth. Although saying that, the house itself I believe is a French farmhouse or something, so that's not necessarily typically English, but pretty much everything else is. And I didn't really do any research, I just kind of went with my own kind of gut instinct here really in terms of what I was doing. But I have added various assets that were on Pug's Steam collection, and just to make sure that I wasn't sort of getting any assets that he didn't have. And I'm trying to use just a select few assets rather than loads of them, because I don't want to go too, as I say, I don't want to go too overboard in terms of the amount of detail and so forth. But saying that, it is still quite a detailed little build, this. So yeah, in effect it's just a simple farmhouse with this kind of big barn next to it, which I'm just modifying slightly because I wanted to make it look a little bit different from the generic building, and adding a few sort of little bits, corrugated roof sections there, just to give it a bit more of a different character, and putting some hay bales and things like that in. So it's just a question of adding those little props and details in to give it the appearance of a working farm. So this was quite a fun little project, to be honest. I did quite enjoy doing this. I think it's a small enough project to get your teeth into, but it's not so big that it causes you to think, whoa, hang on a minute, what am I going to do here? So it's just the right sort of I think project scale, using just a few tiles, only four tiles really, but it's big enough to give you the opportunity to do lots of sort of details and stuff, but also not too big as to become just a little bit off-putting, let's say. So I'm putting some sheds in here, some pipes and stuff, kind of agricultural details, stuff like that. I'm making it look quite messy, I guess, quite grungy, just because a lot of farms in the UK are a little bit messy. You've got mud everywhere, you've got bits of materials that are lying around that are used in the farm. They're not there to look pretty farms, they are working buildings, working areas, so it very much has that appearance, and that's what I was trying to get across here by adding all these little kind of fence sections in, so it gives the appearance that this is kind of still a working farm. What I am doing though is adding a few trees, and I'm going to make this little garden here for the farmhouse itself. So the actual farmhouse is, I think, rather nice, and what I end up doing here is putting a little kind of paddling pool and a playhouse there. So again, it just gives the idea that this is a family home and a farm. So it's that combination which I think is quite interesting. You've got the working farm adjacent to the family home itself. And obviously I'm adding a lot of these kind of decals in. The only thing I did find with these decals, and to be honest with you, maybe a good idea to remove some of those, because I'm getting a lot of the Z clashing, I think they call it, or Z clashing, where it's the decals are kind of glitching over each other. That's the problem. I tend to get a bit carried away with adding those decals in. I can't help myself sometimes. Bushes, yeah, gotta put loads of bushes in just to kind of soften the edges there. It's all about kind of getting as realistic feel as you can with these little builds. And because it is such a small build, I wanted to try extra hard in terms of making it look kind of realistic. And one of my favourite props of all time has got to be Ronix's fences there, the sort of broken fences, chain link fences. What I tend to do on the edge of the build, rather than put a fence or a hedge or something around the perimeter, I ended up just almost blending the ground away and leaving it kind of open, so that whatever Pug decides to do when he imports it into the Isle of Wight build, he can then just add some hedges or do whatever he wants around the farmhouse. So I kind of left it fairly kind of loose and free in terms of what what he can do with the perimeter. I didn't want to put hedges and fences around, otherwise it kind of restricts, I guess, what you can do with or where you can place the build. So just adding in some bushes here, making the garden. I had quite a lot of fun with this little garden, I must say, and I ended up going to town with the vegetable patch, which is something that I saw on Pug's collection, and I thought that would be quite cool to make a little kind of vegetable patch here. So I put some cabbages. I think these are cabbages in, because obviously if you're a farm, you're going to be fairly self-sufficient in terms of growing, food and vegetables and so forth. And obviously because the Isle of Wight, it's going to be a lot of rural kind of communities that are going to be doing that. So it makes sense to have a little kind of vegetable patch there. And these little kind of crazy paving path just running around the outside gives the impression of a kind of path or a terrace there. And again, just using these plants just to soften the edges and to just blend everything in a little bit. I think this is rhubarb I'm putting on here, which I love that detail. Didn't even know about these little vegetable patch props, and we're probably going to be using those maybe in the future if I do something similar to this. But yeah, quite an enjoyable build, I've got to say, and don't think I've done a UK project, to be honest, ever. So that was quite fun to do something UK based for a change. A lot of my stuff tends to be more kind of American in terms of the theme, so doing a UK build, even if it's just a tiny build, was good fun. Now these are Ivy by Ronix, and they are just a brilliant little asset. They work so well. You can plant them onto the side of the house, and again, it's all about giving it the appearance of being a kind of individual building, something a bit different, and that's really what I was trying to go for here. And we're coming into the end now, guys. This is pretty much it. Can't believe how quick that's gone. So I'm going to leave you with a few little kind of cinematics, and hopefully you've enjoyed seeing how I went about building my farmhouse. Put the chickens on there. That's the last thing, really. Put those chickens in. So thanks for watching the vid, guys, and I shall see you next time. Cheers for now.